Hello and welcome to a very special part of South Africa. This is the Kruger National Park. My name is Mark. Andrew is on camera. We have Tara in final control, our office that helps us broadcast to you wherever you are in the world. This is Djuma Game Reserve. This is dawn at Djuma Game Reserve with the wonderful sounds of the day waking up. We had, I think, to start, a go-away bird that was the first to say hello this morning. There is an interesting deep ooh of ground hornbills. I don't know if we're going to get to see them. I hope we're going to get to see them because they're very, very special. I heard some waterfowl down at the dam. We are in, or at, the very northeasternmost corner of Djuma. So we have the entire Djuma Game Reserve and Arathusa Safari area to cover if we can get that far during the morning. But I hope you're going to join us, and I hope you're going to spend the next 3 hours with us as we drive this vehicle around this beautiful part of the game reserve and see what animals we can find for you. I hope you enjoyed that sunrise as much as we did. It was a meditative moment of note. We've got a perfect temperature right now, and quite beautifully the sky is clearing nicely as we can see this with this sunrise. Little bits of cloud. We had a shower during the night, came in at about just before 2 this morning. Drizzled throughout most of the night. Thought it would be rather chilly this morning. It has actually turned into a really nice morning. Turn for you, Andrew, so you can get a better look at the beautiful vista of a rather big dam just above our northeast property known as Bushelshoek.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as far.
Apologies for that break in signal there. There's a little bit of a signal issue perhaps because of the dampness, but I was talking about this beautiful liquid call, and here are the culprits. Mostly only during rains that we hear the magpie shrikes in their morning song. Be interested to know if any of you have I know some of our viewers have parrots. It would be interesting to know how your birds react to these noises. I know I've seen a few viewers whose cats react to some of the video that we broadcast. It's nice to know how other creatures are enthralled or entertained. Very pretty sound. The magpie shrine. Now, only a few days ago, everything was starting to turn brown and yellow. In fact, it was predominantly a very beige and yellow background while we were driving. And it has become noticeably greener from this wonderful rain we had a few days ago. The odd shower that we've been getting since then is just helping to keep things moist. And there's a little spurt of growth, everything. Now, no birds have been alarming just yet, maybe because it hasn't flown yet. It's a very special eagle. I'm expecting its mate to be around somewhere. Looks like it's going to be flying very, very soon. Unfortunately, just turned around, was facing us. Oh, I might be wrong. We might have to get a better look at him. I think we're going to have to try and get closer to this child. I'm going to try to go around onto the fire break. Let's see if we can get a little closer. With this morning light, it would be really nice to see. First I thought was the African hawk, one of the African hawk eagles. The more I look, the more it's looking like something else. How about some suggestions from birders or non-birders, or anybody wants to try their hand at eagle identification? One thing I couldn't see was whether it had feathered legs. I actually didn't even look at the monitor until we zoomed out, because I was watching it through binoculars. If it had flown, we would have been able to see the wings, underwings, even the back of the eagle. It is very pale in front. Wildebeest Road shortcut. nice to drive a boundary sometimes. As you can see, it's quite a wide road we're turning off from our northern boundary, and it does offer us an opportunity to see which animals might have crossed in or out of the Juma area. The animals have a freedom that we don't have. We're a little bit restricted in our movements here. We stay on Juma and we can go over to Arakusa, but the animals, of course, they've got millions of acres to move in. It's a whole greater Kruger National Park. We're in a smaller part of that known as the Sabi Sand Game Reserve, and even within that is this Juma private game reserve. Sort of like a suburb of a town in a city in New Jersey. That's kind of the analogy. Or a kibbutz in Israel, but this is Juma. Think of another one. A county. A farm in a county in the UK. Maybe we're bigger than that. Smaller. Bigger, smaller. See if we can find him again and creep up on this bird. See it straight over in that dead body. Go, Bongo. Shake. I think he's going to die. I don't want to get too close. Oh. Now, the interesting thing comes in. Did you hear that noise as it flew? Every bird in the area freaked out. A lot of alarm calls, a lot of screeching. And it's flown further. Now, it's going to be very important to identify this bird. This is not, I don't think this is an African hawk eagle, which is what I first thought it was. But it definitely is an all-white underparts. It's feathered legs all the way down. And it's got the white windows in the wings. And I've got an idea in my head, but I would like to have confirmation. I mean, like an Ayers hawk eagle. It doesn't have the spotty underparts. So we're going to have to try and sneak up on it again. Because if it is, it would be a very, very important eagle to spot and to see, as well as to have record of here in this part of the Sabi Sand. Looks like I'm going to maybe fly, no? Please stay there, bird. Please, just want to look at you once more. Seems to be getting a bit cloudy. If they move out, then off he goes. Bad signal. Flew in. Well, it flew off again, and I got another good look at the underparts, both underwings and its belly, chest, and it is all white. It doesn't have the barring of the African hawk eagle, and I just have to get the book and show you. why I think it is what I think it is. And it seems to be solitary because as it's moving, I'm only hearing the birds around it reacting. If it had a mate around, well, maybe the mate is around, but not moving. If the mate was around, we might have heard birds shouting alarms elsewhere. Yes, Doc, I saw. On the camera, we turn the two wires around. Seems to have flown away further, deeper into Buffalo's Hook, so I can't see where it's gone. We have to have a debate. I should have taken a photograph. Jane in Baltimore sent in a message to say the African grey parrot name is Catherine Hepburn. Hello, Catherine. Nice to meet an African in Baltimore. Is it Baltimore? Oh, there's my head. Falling up at the moment. Sorry if I fiddle with it a lot, but it keeps falling up. African grey is mimicking a lot of the bird call, especially the go-away bird here, the grey lurry. I heard ground hornbills up the way, but I think they too are in Buffalo's Hook. Now I need to find my record book to show you. Open up the book. Snake eagles, true eagles. Stop and have a look. The African hawk eagle's got a very dark head. I suppose the juvenile is a completely different colour. It's brown, so it wasn't even if it was a juvenile. But it's also got a very, very spotty breast. The long-chested Benelli's. Oops, I just dropped a parrot feather. No, green feather. Ayers hawk eagle. Oh, it's not Ayers. Yeah, Ayers is also very heavily streaked at the bottom. Ayers doesn't have windows in the wings. So it wasn't an Ayers. Maybe it was an African hawk eagle that just wasn't very spotty. There's no other eagle that's so pale underneath other than that pale Wahlbergs that we had. And, well, he's gone back to other parts of Africa. That was too small to be a juvenile martial eagle. They don't have windows in their wings. Maybe African hawk eagle. But it's going to just have to remain one of those mysteries, perhaps. And we can maybe get a consensus from some of the viewers that might have had a look at it. What was it? Harder. I admit. Sometimes that first impression is the right impression. When I first saw it from a distance, it's very much like an African hawk eagle, the right posture. But it was just too pale underneath. Onward ho! What should we do and where should we go? I think down south. Where animals come to drink. Also the boundary we're going to cross, I suppose, more or less through a portion of it. Maybe try and touch on somewhere on the southern boundary. And this is also going to help us read what movement of animals there were, what is where we can find things. Because having done a fair little bit of this northwestern corner, I can see that there was one big elephant bull that headed west. Barely even touched on Juma. He went to an area along the northwestern boundary of the Sabi. Other than that, I can see that there was hippo that walked to that big dam we've just been watching. Franklin just came out of nowhere, ran along the road and then flew off. Funny little Franklin. Morning, Jerry from Maryland. We do, Jerry, get different migrant species that come through. Migrants that come from as far as Russia, Asia, Europe. Of course, those are all what we call the Palearctic migrants. Then we have the inter-African migrants that come from other parts of Africa, fly south. Birds that migrate, but since we don't see them, they don't count. So at the moment, most of those seasonal birds, or what we call migrants, have left for warmer climates. As it starts getting cooler and the sun starts heading into the northern hemisphere, I think we'd be hard pressed to find any migrants still here. That's why I thought that can't really be the pale warbird, but it wasn't, because it was too pale under the wing. Warbirds wouldn't be pale under the wings like that. We can expect some of them to come back around September. Anyway, they start coming back in late August, early September, but some of them only come back as late as November, late November. You see, some of the migrants that come along. Oh, hello, giraffe. Gosh, big old Mrs. Giraffe standing here in the dip. Morning, madam. It's a little bit damp, but you're also very dark for a lady giraffe. There, and suddenly the tallest mammal in Africa just disappears behind some bushes. Tallest mammal ever. I wonder, I don't think there's any way we can get a better look at her. I'll go back through the back of the strip. We don't have any little roads leading off. This is Gallagher shortcut, and the only road further up is going to be too far away, and the one behind us is too far away. She's there, but there's an old track. I remember following leopard on this old track. Let's see if we can get a better look at it. I have to get back to talking about birds in a bit. Morning, madam. It's still a little bit far around here, Andrew. Around here, Andrew. Okay. That's the best view we get. Okay, I see that. A lot of the cameramen. those not reversed again?
I'll switch in now.
Seems we're having some audio problems this morning. Hope that gets sorted out. Hope maybe this makes a difference. Morning, Anne. Anne in California is saying she believes that giraffe have a very particular scent about them. Does it have any particular function? It could do, Anne. I think every animal has its own scent, and every animal has its, I guess you could call, body odor. Most probably just like elephants when they're in must. I suppose giraffe bulls, when their testosterone levels are up, when it's mating time, I guess they too can have a very musty smell about them. And yes, it probably plays a very big role in sexual selection, in terms of females maybe going for the stronger scented ones because it tells them that they are stronger. That gives them some signal that that particular male is more virile. But I'm sure that is to be said for almost all animals when it's mating time. That's what pheromones are all about. I want to see this, follow this little old track just beyond this little marula tree in front of us, and there might be a gap to see her a little bit better. It's unusually dark for a female giraffe. Come and say hello. Very pretty, gorgeous. You can hear the rat-a-tat-tat of a woodpecker in the background, and that's a territorial tap. That's not the tap that you hear when they're digging for grubs in wood. So she's decided we're okay. She's going to go back to feeding, which is a nice sign that she's not concerned with us. Morning, Ben. Ben's from Texas. Middle of the night in Texas. Ben was asking, what does a giraffe do to protect itself from the thorns while it's feeding? And I mentioned that she's darker than normal. I don't really mean she's darker than normal. I just meant she's unusually dark for a female. Ben was also asking what is the difference between the colors of the sexes. Generally speaking, Ben, the bulls tend to be darker than the cows. It doesn't mean that you can't get darker females, and she's a perfect example of a relatively dark female. Also, females tend to lighten with age as bulls tend to darken with age, but it's not a hard and fast rule, and a lot of it has got to do with genetics. And very much like some of us have dark hair and some of us have lighter hair, giraffe have a variety of different shades of color, from this deep chocolate to sort of very, very pale, almost reddish, strawberry reddish, to tan color. I hope we get to see more giraffe and get an idea of some of the different shades of color. Excuse me, that you can see them in. As for the thorns, well, you find that the trees that have thorns are the trees that have been browsed on for millennia. They're the trees that have the best tasting leaves, and one of the reasons why there are thorns is because they've been browsed so heavily over millions of years, and so they've developed that physical defense. But nature isn't a very static environment. Everything has to adapt to changes. Pretty much change is dictated by differences in climate from decade or century to century. And so everything has to adapt to changes. So when trees that were browsed on, when they started developing thorns, or when their leaves started turning sharp because it was an effort to distract or rather discourage animals from feeding too much, the animals themselves had to adapt to that. So their mouth parts and their bodies adapted to be able to deal with the thorns. A giraffe has got a very, very thick tongue. She's got a fairly rough palate, and she'll wrap her tongue around the leaves and press it up against her palate and just strip the leaves off of a branch. And the thorns are of no bother to her. She's watching something in the background. She's looked that way a couple of times. Now, since their heads are mostly above the trees and they're able to see a lot further, you'll notice how white they are in the back of the head, the back of the ears, and that is so that white stands out when they're moving about. They can see another giraffe a long way away with its head in the bush feeding. Maggie in Vancouver. Morning, Maggie. Maggie wants to know how old she would be and what is her life expectancy. Well, Maggie, I'm guessing she's probably around in the late teens, maybe 20. It's very difficult to tell without really seeing how much wear there is on her teeth. She's an adult cow. She's well into adulthood. She's got quite a few wrinkles behind her front legs. Just her just her general size, and I guess things like the shape of her face tell me she's not an old giraffe, she's in her prime. I'll tell you in a minute how is she standing now. She's not lactating, but she has, I think. Difficult to tell how old she is. Age or lifespan of a giraffe? It's probably around 25 years. Hello, Mrs. G. Beautiful light in her eyes when she looks in the right direction. There's a spur fowl in the background that's calling. I'll drink your beer, I'll drink your beer, I'll drink your beer. But there was another even more important bird that was calling. See, as she walks through the quarry, all the water droplets that are falling off the leaves shows how heavy these trees are with dew and rain. She's probably enjoying it. Why she's brushing against the bushes like that. I'll come and eat some buffalo thorn. Excuse me, I'm just going to talk on the radio. Texting. No, morning, I don't think anyone's been to Misikaya. I've got one Mafazi Tlamiti on Gallagher shortcut. She's east of the road, just before Ephraim's shortcut, but she's quite deep in the Shatin. There's an old Ndlele that comes in, probably from an old Bamba or something. I'm sitting on that, you can see it on that old Ndlele. Yeah, she's making her way towards Ephraim's shortcut. Yeah, I mean after you go to Misikai, if you check that other shortcut, you might find her. This is Mark, go ahead. Tlamiti on Gallagher shortcut. And so we need to move along. Sorry, repeat that please. Yeah, firm. I hear Texans out as well. Yeah, I did. Has anybody checked if they've gone back over Gowrie Main or if they've gone up to Cheetah Cut Line? Okay, copy. I'll make my way to maybe to Mamba Road or Batalia. Something for us to do this morning, since there's some tracks that have crossed over from the south at Twin Dams, and well, she's heading deeper into the bush. We're going to head south. Funny, we were heading south, and we're going to have a look. There are some tracks of some cats. Interesting to see if they are still on Duma. This is not far from Gowrie Dam or Duma Waterhole, so it's possible that she might be browsing, making her way around to the water later today. There is a lot of moisture on the leaves, they're very wet leaves, so it could be that she's not that dependent on water today. Is asking if giraffe are an endangered species. Not as yet, Ramay. Fortunately, giraffe are not the kind of animal that has attracted the attention of humans in too many ways. They're very, very placid, they're very, very gentle creatures. Also don't invade crops, so there isn't this animal-human conflict that we have with maybe some of the other animals that are endangered because of either human conflict or because humans have some sick need for some part of that animal, and so they've been hunted for that. So very much from a point of view of giraffe have been mostly left alone and mostly revered by humans. Would hope that secures their future on the planet. As long as there are trees, there's going to be giraffe. Interesting question from Terry in Florida, wanting to know what do giraffe do to stay away from predators? How do they deal with, apart from their camouflage? Well, their camouflage doesn't really help them too much, Terry. Excuse me a sec. They're just rather large animals, and they've got fairly large hooves, so they make enough noise that if there were cats around, cats would hear them. The way they defend themselves, of course, is that they are able to kick both with their front and their back legs. They're able to strike forward and sideways with their front legs, and they're able to strike, able to kick out with their back legs. Also, slightly different to a horse, they can kick almost sideways with their back legs. And many a lion has had has been kicked by a giraffe during a hunt. And perhaps their speed. They given an open area like this, they could probably run faster than the lion, and of course the lion can't sustain speed and the sprint for very long, and very often lion will give up on the hunt. But of course they can't always defend themselves, and giraffe eventually will maybe get slower over time. And often old giraffe are killed by lion. Lion are pretty much the only predator, unless some of the other predators have learned how to take baby giraffe. I've known leopard to take young giraffe, hyena have taken young giraffe. So there are different animals that might prey on young giraffe, but it's mostly lion that will feed on adults. And usually it's just because of the pride more than anything else. Being able to, a large number of lions being able to... Morning.
Morning.
Very good, and you?
Good, thank you.
Good, all well?
Yeah, see anything exciting?
Giraffe, beautiful giraffe. See you later. Just greeting the staff here from Juma. Kind of courtesy that when we see another vehicle come by, and maybe doesn't stand today, but usually it's quite dusty, so you stop and say hello and find out what you've seen and give a chance for the dust to settle. But it's also just a nice friendly gesture of good morning, how are you? There were wildebeest tracks in the road, and I see some wildebeest up ahead. But I was saying giraffe have been hunted by cheetah, small giraffe, because they've learned how to do it, and they perhaps do it collectively or as a coalition. And of course lion hunt giraffe because they hunt collectively. They'll hunt as a pride, and it might not be easy for one lion to do so, but certainly if 2 or 3 or more lions make it a lot easier to bring down a giraffe. They only have to get it on the ground, and a lot of times lions have learned how to hunt giraffe, or they will hunt them in the specific conditions when it's slippery or wet or rocky terrain. The little roller, before we get to the wildebeest, there's a little lilac-breasted roller puffed up in the morning sun.
Don't see it, right?
It's here on the apple leaf, and I'm trying to see would it be better to have a sky background.
Maybe this will work.
Skies or leaves. That's nice. Little frame. All puffed up because it's a little damp and because it's probably a little bit cold, and much like the animals raise their hair on their bodies to increase the air between the hairs that help insulate the body better in cooler temperatures, birds do very much the same thing. They puff up the feathers, increases the air pockets between the feathers, and that helps retain warmth better. When we get cold, we get goosebumps. Our hair does the same thing, but I don't know how much warmer it makes us because we don't have much hair or air between our hair. That's for Linda. We're getting some pretty light now because the cloud is easing up in the east, and a bit of blue sky coming through. That puts it all into perspective. That's quite a nice shot if we go a little bit. If you could get the camera as low as I am, that all would be standing almost on the ridge. We're not going to see it from here. We'll have to go back. About 5 of them, I think. There's a hornbill that just flew down out of the cluster leaf. Well, I think we need to go there. We'll see them from the other side. We'll get really good light on them. I want to go down towards the dam. Now here, a couple of the guys are following up on some line tracks that have come across twin dams. They still haven't seen much. So I'm thinking that these cats have possibly walked even further north, although they don't seem to have found anything yet around the Mawati River. But there's a good chance. Good chance. Oh, here you are, Mr. W. These all ladies that have come in. Make number 6. Now, I'm wondering if this is the same herd that we've had in the summer. This bull has clearly made this one of his chief breeding spots. His lek, his bowl, his territory. And I guess he's hoping that these ladies are going to stay here and he gets to mate with them. They could decide that he's not good enough and go and find another male to live with. Wildebeest doing what wildebeest do. They grazing and eating, and maybe we can come back to see them a little later, but I'd like to, while it's still cool, see if we can find some sign of cats. Later, Mr. Gnu. This is the brindled gnu. It's in this light that you see the brindled stripe patterns. Actually, that is my side light on him. You can see a monarch flittering around too at the moment. Been rolling in a bit of mud as well. You can see on his shoulder he's got a bit of mud. And I think all he's really interested in right now is seeing off arrival. Because he's probably content that these ladies are going to be here for a bit. But he can't afford another rival wildebeest to come in and shatter his domain.
Why are they doing that? I thought maybe it'd roll over.
Yeah, he might dig a little. He might also put his horns into the sand. Just all scenting, making this his territory. Rubbing, we'll be noticing some places where he's rubbing his horns on the trees. But he's also getting his scent in around him, and he's getting his surroundings, the scent on him. Yeah, not quite. Maybe he just wants to sit down. Not even going to roll. Thought he was going to dig a bowl. He has got a bowl just behind us. We'll go back a little bit and I'll show you. And maybe we're blocking him. Maybe we're preventing him from rolling because we're a bit too close to him. But he has his bowl. He hasn't rolled in it just very recently, but this patch of ground where he's dug quite a lot and he's been rolling. He will probably also put his droppings in it, and when that gets a little bit dry he rolls in that too. Keeps his scent around him and around his territory. See you later, Mr. Gnu, once again. We'll go and find the cats. I'll let you know where they are. Oh, it's a considerable herd of wildebeest that has come in. Not just the 5 that we saw. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 odd. Let's go to the front of the herd. This is a youngster with a very beige forehead.
You be last year?
No, that's 2-year-old. There's the last year's calf lying down. There's another 2 lying down. This is a considerable group of wildebeest for this part of the world. Very interesting. There are several herds here. This is a group on its own. I think this is probably the original group that we had that was part of Brian's mom group, and there's a second group that's coming in. Oh, that's nasty. Chasing a child. 3 little ones left in this group by the looks of things from last year. So this little beige one that we can see on the left, that's probably one of the youngest of the car. No, there's one youngster even younger, but only about 5 months, 6 months old. It was late November, so going on about 6 months, I guess. 5 months. Can't count properly. 5 months.
It's like a herd of lawnmowers approaching us.
Yes. We have a wall of wildebeest approaching. If they stampede now, they'll run right. No, they won't. They're also not very aggressive animals. They do turn on their predators, and they certainly use those horns in defense. You can see how the shape of the horns becomes a pretty good weapon, and when a wildebeest needs to, just by swinging its head side to side, brings into play those curved horns. One of the older females just turned around and decided to, oh, she got a fright, something under that bush. Got a fright. I'll have to investigate. She just decided to take her herd away. Another group sort of following. I don't know how to explain this. Just a couple of family groups all coming together. Maybe forming one big herd for now. We might be very lucky to have them here with the grasses greening up the way they are. Diane in Michigan, why aren't we seeing oxpeckers on the wildebeest? I can hear oxpeckers in the trees, Diane. Why are we not seeing oxpeckers? I'm not sure. Maybe oxpeckers are sitting warming up in the sun. Sabria wants to know if it's a large termite mound in the background. Just in front of these wildebeest, I guess that is a fairly large termite mound. It's not exceptionally large, but it is fairly large. It probably stands about 5, maybe 6 feet tall. There's another one even further in the background behind the front group of wildebeest. Very healthy termite mound, and to some degree because of the action of the termites and I suppose the nutrients that they produce for the soil, makes for very healthy grassland in the area in the vicinity of termite mounds. Aerating, just the very presence of termites and what they do, breaking down dead wood and having trace elements returned to the soil, means they are a very important part of the ecosystem. Laura, morning Laura, from Chicago. Illinois is still reeling after a pretty bad, was it a tornado there a while ago. Wanting to know if these wildebeest migrate. Not really, not these wildebeest here in Kruger, Laura. These ones don't migrate. We don't have the open grasslands that change seasonally, and particularly the way it does in the Serengeti and Masai Mara, with the way the rains move and the grasses, the way they follow the grazing. Here there might be seasonal movement in different areas, but not real migration. This is probably one of the largest groups of wildebeest we will ever see out here. We normally only see small herds, but this, I would guess, is actually the two herds together, and it's fairly large for this terrain, for this habitat type. They are mostly they're mostly out in the open areas, especially they need to be at night, so they might be grazing in the bushy areas amongst the trees during the day. That's particularly also because of the heat and the shade that they get from it. They get the grazing between the trees. But when it comes to nightfall, they like to be out in the open. It's safer for them. They can run away from predators better, so that it's not that usual for them to accumulate like this. Because this is just a very much larger open area than usual. A group like this in thicker bush would be quite vulnerable to predation by lion or hyena, because, well, the thicker bush, things make a noise, it's harder to keep in contact with each other. Yeah, the male calling now. I don't think he really wants to leave his little spot that he's got. And I guess he's getting a bit concerned that the ladies are wandering a little bit too far. He's still there by his marula tree.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's continue. That's been interesting. Still want to go and follow up and see what's happening to these cats. Renee wants to know what the mortality rate is of young wildebeest. It's actually quite high, Renee, because there aren't that many open areas like this. And a lot of the open areas that wildebeest do seem to hang out on are airstrips. Now, lion get to know the open areas, and they get to know them pretty well, so that pretty much every time lion go for a herd of wildebeest, they're likely to get one. So it is quite high. They often will get the young ones. Young ones also fall prey to hyena, to leopard perhaps, cheetah possibly. In fact, there's perhaps a decline in wildebeest numbers that over the years. For this part of the world, at any rate. You can see she looked up. You could hear a roller giving an alarm call. She looked up. It wasn't too harsh an alarm call. It was more a case of a roller shouting at another roller. Well, it seems it's hard for me to tear myself away from these wildebeest, but we're going to this time. Keep your eyes on the camera at Juma Waterhole, because they might be heading down there later. And that question from Renee came via Twitter, by the way. She tweeted us at #SafariLive. You can do that if you want to send in questions, or if you would prefer to send an email us at questions@wildearth.tv. There's this whole group now coming together, and the mail is coming this way too. So I'm still drawn to stay here and see quite a lovely thing. Quite a large group of wildebeest. If I can just get in front of this marula tree, we can get to see the male too. It'd be nice to see if there is any interaction between them. Morning everybody, welcome to Juma. Hope you like our green grass. Had it rain especially for you. Bulk up for the dry season. Not that it'll last long. Bula Ray is asking about the light brown forehead. Thanks for the question, Bula Ray. You'll notice now, especially with them approaching us like this, you can see the differences in the foreheads of all of them. Generally the females have a brownish forehead, but the lighter brown forehead, and you can see the size of the horn, does give you a little bit of an indication of their youth and their size, I suppose, as well. But if we look at some of them, there's some older females who are getting quite dark on the forehead. But generally the females have a lighter forehead. Well, we're going to have a have them all moving past us soon. In fact, they're coming close enough, we might be able to hear them grazing. Oh, they're all going to go behind us. Several of them crossing behind us already.
And when one goes, they all just follow.
Yes.
It's quite amazing, actually.
Yeah. Maybe some of them will cross ahead of us. They're actually crossing and coming around. No, they're all going to follow. You wildebeest, you're not sheep. There's a very young one. Very late lamb. They actually come behind us and up to the side of us. But these ones on the right of us are just gonna, they're not gonna, they just come across from here. They're not gonna go around. There's the bull. Middle. Almost pleading with them to come back, and they want to go down to the water. I think I wonder if he's gonna try and herd them. Well, he's just keeping to the edge of his bowl, keeping them in sight, perhaps. Pardon? Oh, I was just going to try and do this for you. I'm sorry. I guess I was listening to the radio and wasn't thinking.
No, this is good as well.
Texan, come in. Tex, I'm at Gary Dam. I'm going to make my way down there. Okay, I'll join you shortly. Right. It is time to leave these children be. We have something to go and see. Something very exciting, I hope. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Follow me. Let's go. like you have a choice. Well, you do. But if you go anywhere now, you're going to miss out on something special. Maybe it's not even an animal. Maybe it's a beetle. Or a spider. No. No, it is an animal. It's an animal that has just crossed the Mulwati River and is making its way to Twin Dams to drink, I hope. And although we're a little far, I'm not too sure how many other vehicles are going to be there. So we might have to wait. We've only allowed in a certain number of vehicles with animals. And there might be others. Trying to keep track of what's going on the radio, because suddenly radio is getting very busy and I can't just arrive at that site. I need to be in the right sequence. If other vehicles are there before me, we will have to go and find something to do for a little while before we can get there. We just take a shortcut down to Telepan, and then it's a short trip down Twin Dams Road. It's probably the most direct route we can take right now. Well, the clue was there were tracks there early this morning that we were supposed to follow up on that we've been delayed by. Well, not delayed, we've just had such a wonderful morning so far trying to get to pick up on some of these tracks. And well, now we don't need to find tracks anymore because finally they've made an appearance. Not the tracks, the animal who made the tracks. And unless a polar bear or a kangaroo pops its head up, there's not much that's going to delay me from getting there right now. Oh, an elephant. That'll stop me in my tracks. Can't not say hello to an elephant. Oh. What's up, Franklin? Franklin came into the road and got such a fright. I wasn't even near it. Crassula's flowers are getting higher and fuller. Mr. Fuller. This is Fuller. Fuller flowers. Been dying to see some flowers that might have come out from the rain, but maybe still a bit too early. There's got to be something that's benefit from all this water. There's got to be some blossom that will bloom. Maybe another morning glory coming out. Or maybe the cotton will flower, or the hibiscus. Since it's been rather still on the radio this morning as far as sightings are concerned, except for a wonderful sighting that I heard about that was way up on the Kruger Park boundary. It was two cheetah. I'm expecting it's those two male cheetah that were seen or that are often seen on the Nkoro side of things, not the male that we saw. I'm coming through the drainage line now from Tingana. Can I join you? Timing might just be perfect. Sounds like they're drinking. Oh, this is good. This is fantastic. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Wow. Just a few bumps and bruises to get there. Who this is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very fat and full of something. Oh, look at that cub. Can barely move. of the adult females. Another adult female on the damn wall. Another adult drinking. And
this one looks like it's about to pop.
She's not that a youngster. Now, the question is, ladies and gentlemen of the jury being you viewers out there in the wide, wide world, who are these pussycats? Oh, that looks like it was a big fish rippling in the water. Big catfish, probably. We're at Twin Dams, which means we're down in the south of Djuma. Morning, Afira. Shalom. Fimashlomech. Afira is asking, could it be the Nkuhumas? Well, this is the debate. I was thinking, we are so far south, and I don't know if Nkuhumas have ever come this far south, or when they last came this far south. And I'm seeing a couple of youngsters over there that I think are a little bit too small for Nkuhumas. Morning, Uncle.
How are you, bud?
Fine, and you?
Morning, bro.
Good. Morning. A little bit of morning lion light coming through. If the cloud would just thin out a little bit, we might get some nice light. There we go. See, there's a algae starting to form on the surface of Twin Dams. What I'm thinking, Blair Shanae and Oh, blacksmith lapwing's blacksmith's not too happy about having cats around. Virginia. Saying the Styx Pride have been in the area and they've been fighting around here somewhere. And I'm starting to think it's probably all so Styx. Shanae in New Zealand. Sounds like there are a lot of vehicles that are converging. We might have to... Sorry, just listening to the radio. Excuse me a second. We're going to have to maybe move away for a little while because there are a lot of vehicles wanting to come and see. See, it's a rather quiet morning this morning, and I think because of that a lot of vehicles have been quite well dispersed, but now everyone's starting to make their way here. We're going to need to maybe make space. As far as I can tell, folks, Chris wanted to know how many lions. I'm seeing six. I'll just have to monitor the radio and see if we will need to make space for someone else. But for the time being, we can enjoy them. One lioness had been moving off towards the riverbed, and the others were sort of watching her. Guides are calling them Nkuhumas. Morning.
Morning, how are you?
Very good, and you?
Good.
6 that I could see.
6.
Yeah, Mark, I'll make my way as soon as there's another vehicle ready to come into this lock. Oh, I missed that now. Yeah, I think Ephraim. Okay, folks, we're going to have to move. We'll maybe come back here a little bit later. Tom, come in. Mark, I'm moving out so you can move in. Okay, copied. Then who's first standby? Bye. Enjoy. With a little bit of luck, they won't stay around for the day. If it gets a little bit warm, they're obviously going to have to settle down a little bit. The good thing is that they're pretty full. There's an eagle that just dropped out of the sky. But it's so far into the bush, you won't know what it did. I guess lucky that we got here when we did. It is kind of getting busy. There are a lot of vehicles that want to come and view it. So it's possible that they will cycle through. And if we go, maybe we head up towards Twin Dams or something and make a loop. Maybe there's time to come back here later. But I hope they're going to settle down for the rest of the day and stay close by. That would be good. I only saw 6 cats. I'm not too sure who they are. Could be Nkuhumas. The guys are saying Nkuhumas. You get a good enough look. Not too much going on the radio and too much other activity. Too much distraction. But good to get a view of them though. And try later. I think maybe we ought to go. I don't know. No real plan right now. I was hoping we could sit with the lion, but that's only going to happen later. Don't know what they killed, but it doesn't seem anybody else does either, because they've sort of come out of nowhere. Virginia wants to know if there are different types of lions and are they found in different areas in Africa. There aren't really different types. There's only one real sort of African lion, Virginia, Kentucky, by the way. Virginia, there are variations in the genetics within the population of lion depending on the climate, the area that they live in. For example, Kalahari, the lions of the Kalahari and maybe in Namibia are some of the heaviest maned lions here in southern Africa. And then you go up into East Africa, there's the lion of Selous, for example. The males in Selous Game Reserve in Tanzania barely have a mane at all. Although there are some individuals that get to be about, as adults, they have a mane of like about a 4-year-old lion down here. And then up in the Serengeti, once again, very heavy mane lions. There are differences in the colors of the manes, and that has a lot to do with sexual selection, got a lot to do with testosterone in different areas too. So there is only one type of lion, but there are different gene pools. There used to be a Cape mountain lion sort of thing. There used to be a very heavily maned lion species down in the Cape, but they were wiped out by humans hunting. Then there was the Northern African Barbary lion. I think there's maybe one left in captivity. That's it, if I'm not mistaken. Number of vehicles around at the moment because a lot of landowners are here. I think it's probably school holidays, and we have a number of long weekends, so there are a number of landowners out here enjoying their property, and they have traversing rights here on Djuma, so they come out as well. An extensive question from Elizabeth coming through on Twitter that she would have sent to #SafariLive. Elizabeth is asking, would these lions have TB? She noticed one had a lump on the elbow. Well, that one young female, in fact both of the youngsters of the Nkuhumas, it is probably Nkuhumas by the way, they both have lumps which could be TB. I remember when I was asking viewers to find out what they thought, or to send me their ideas on it, I got a bunch of different answers. Of course, there's no real way of knowing. It could well be. The other part of the question is, how do they get it, and how long does it take for them to fight it off? I have to be honest, I don't know very much about diseases and lengths of times, and I think yes, they do succumb to TB, and they get it from eating infected animals like buffalo. It's not always fatal, and sometimes they can live with it. But I'd rather not answer any questions about the TB, the diseases. I'm not a vet. I haven't studied veterinary science, and I don't know too much about it. I guess I need to learn more about. I just know that it is killing off a lot of lion in the Kruger. Excuse me. And that they're probably all carriers. Probably. One would have to take blood tests to find out, I guess. welcome any new viewers that are joining us now. And I'll show you, there's a beautiful little yellow flower here. This is my welcome to new viewers, especially to the ladies. This is a very pretty little camelina. They have been flowering quite extensively in the summer months and been a little bit dry. This particular plant's been revived a little bit. This is Camelina africana. Most of the camelinas are a lovely blue to mauve. This little yellow one. Pretty little thing. Yes, welcome to new viewers. This is our morning safari here at Djuma Game Reserve, if you don't know what's going on. We're in a small patch of the greater Kruger National Park known as Djuma Game Reserve, and we drive around. We don't have animals in set places. The animals move around all the time and we have to find them, and sometimes we have to read the roads and read the signs, listen to sounds to find the animals. And the beauty of what we do is that we're interactive, that we can talk to you and you can talk to us through our final control. Tara is in final control. She will send messages to me. You can send her questions or messages either on email. You can send to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can send a tweet, #SafariLive, and either way they'll get through to us. And although sometimes there are a lot and we can't get through all the questions, it's nice to be able to answer your questions. It's nice to be able to talk to you. It's great if you have a class of kids. I know Heike in Germany was asking, it'd be great to have some kids join us for one of their morning classes. Glad to answer the questions from the class. Anything that you might be studying, if you do have a nature study or biology class and there's something I can help with in terms of the practical side of things, wonderful to be able to do that. Especially times like now when anything to see at the moment, anything could happen at any moment. Rena. Hello, Rena. Morning to you. Can a lion gorge itself to death? I don't know. Very good question. Really? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think most animals have this trigger in the brain that stops us when we fall. We're supposed to. In fact, I think there's a gene for it. So maybe, but I doubt it. I think self-preservation kicks in. I mean, we've seen so many lions that are so full, one wonders how they could even breathe. Even some of those cubs now, so full, that they must be uncomfortable. I don't think that they could gorge themselves to death. What are those insects collecting on the leaves? I wonder. There's very young silver cluster leaf, there seem to be a lot of, could be ants. But why they're doing that, I would like to just quickly hop out and have a look, a little closer inspection. There's a scale insect on the top of the leaf that must be producing a honeydew. It's quite interesting to see, and I can't get closer, and if we do, it's going to disturb them. But what basically the ants are harvesting this honeydew type substance from the scale insect, and they're actually fighting over it. They're not fighting, but they're getting quite possessive over individual little insects that are producing the honeydew. So basically they're ants that are farming these scale insects, and they farm them to be able to harvest this sweet liquid that they produce. Interesting. Very. One of our zoomies. Now the zoomies are people who zoom and tilt to operate the cameras we have around here. So Priya is asking if we have any clover type plants. We do. So where we do get a type of clover. I'm just trying to think, I used to know the name. Think of it in a second. But I don't think I'll find any now. I'll glance at the ground every now and then and I'll see if I can find one. But they're more in short grass areas. I don't think they'd grow amongst this. Out of my brain, somewhere in my brain I got it, and I'll tell you why. Because oxalis, no? Yes. Oxalis, I think is clover, if I'm not mistaken. Sabia, different oxalis species. It's not in. I don't have any in this book. I must look in my other book. My grandmother used to have a tea mug that had a picture, a beautiful hand-painted picture of clover. Just listening to still a lot of vehicles at the line sighting and still standby vehicles, so I'll turn the radio down again. Oh, it's noisy. Question from Jeffrey. Morning, Jeffrey, in Austin. Interesting question, actually, about duiker. Have I ever seen duiker eating anything? Can I elaborate on the diet of the common duiker and what their population is like here in the Sabi Sand, Junior? Jeffrey, duiker are known to eat small mammals. I've never seen a duiker eat a frog or anything. I have seen duiker in dry conditions nibbling on carcasses, but I've never seen a duiker catch anything myself. But they are known to feed on small mammals. They are known to catch small mammals or to feed on carcasses. Population-wise, duiker are very stable. Population-wise, they're one of the most common antelope species right throughout sub-Saharan Africa, in fact. Now we're coming up to this puddle area on the left that I'm hoping is going to have a creature that I'm trying to show you over time. If it may be out. No. Signs that it's been busy in and out of its hole. And it's because it's not night time, we don't have the spotlight with us. Oh, we do actually. And this one, other one's on charge. Let's see if while we've got the camera on the hole, you see anything down there? Negative. Sometimes we can see it's freshwater crab hole, and sometimes we can see maybe it's moved on. There's a puddle further back that is much wetter. It's still got a lot of water in it. Anyway, we're on Zoe's Road. Let's see what we can find on Zoe's Road. I think the thing about duiker, Jeffrey, is that one doesn't get to see them often, so you might get the impression that they're not very numerous. They're just very small, they tend to be solitary, and so one doesn't get an impression of them being common or numerous, but they are. Considering the amount of duiker that are eaten by leopards, they do pretty well. They do exceptionally well as a species, in fact. About termite mounds. Teresa's in Virginia Beach. Which is the largest? Have we got a termite mound that is the largest at Juma? And what causes the decline of a termite mound? And well, I haven't really thought of which one is the largest. They all are pretty big. I've just seen a plated lizard dive down a hole. I wish it could have stayed there on a termite mound. What would cause termites to leave? Well, it's not really so much what causes them to leave, but what causes them to die out is something like, say, an aardvark digging into a termite mound to feed on the termites. And if a queen is killed, then it's possible that a secondary queen can be created, but she will be a lot smaller and she will not be able to support the termite colony. She won't be able to lay as many eggs as the primary queen. The secondary queen becomes merely well, if it's a very large termite colony, she just can't lay that many eggs that can keep it going, so it slowly it shrinks. If a termite mound is breached and things get into it, then they will eat all the termites, and without the queen, the colony will eventually die. It's usually porcupines and aardvark and warthogs that burrow into the termite mound, sometimes modified by other animals like wild dog and hyena. And of course, there's so many different sized tunnels in a termite mound that there are a whole host of creatures that occupy them that also will modify the termite mound to suit, or the burrow, the hole, to suit themselves, whether it's dwarf mongoose or, as up to see now, we saw the other day, plated lizards, the rough-scaled plated lizards that live in them. A host of creatures that if they just find a small entrance, they can modify it to their own advantage. Quite far south for those Nkuhumas lions to be that far, and I guess they've been fighting with the sticks then. Oh look, leopard tracks, but that's late last night. See if I can find some tracks for you to see. In Cape Town wants to know if I can tell him about the internal structure of a termite mound. I have to be honest, I've never and I will never open a termite mound. I've seen pictures of cross sections and it's hard to, I guess I don't have a book here. I can show you one of my other books, so we can bring it along later this afternoon if you're going to join us. Show you a picture of it and how that plays a role in temperature regulation, the whole structure. See, it's hard to explain. From what I understand, and I've only seen drawings of these things, and of course occasionally you see a mound that's been broken by an elephant, the pinnacle, but the pinnacle has here's a perfect example where the little bit of the top of the mound has been broken off, and we can see just a little bit of this, a little bit of the tunneling that is, but only, sorry, I'm just listening to other things and I'm distracting myself. I just heard some birds and I don't think these leopard tracks are here anymore. That is not the way the whole termite mound is, what it looks like there with random tunnels. I mean, all of the pinnacles have these tunnels, and that helps to move airflow throughout the mound. They have the main chamber where the queen is, and in that chamber there's obviously a lot of activity, a very lot of termite activity around the queen that generates a certain amount of heat. And one of the things they do in different seasons is that they will alternate, or rather they will change the area where the queen is, so higher up, closer to the surface of the ground some times of the year, or deeper underground at different times of the year, and that helps to generate heat. They have fungus gardens that help to generate heat. They have tunnels that are, or rather chimneys that open up, vents as it were, that bring warm air out so that it can suck cooler, fresher air in, lower down, and that helps to oxygenate, that helps the termite mound breathe. The pinnacle itself on these termite mounds, because it is only these termites, this particular species that we're talking of now, the pinnacle itself has a large surface area in the cooler times of the day when the sun is at an angle, and then in the heat of the day when the sun is shining down from above, it has a smaller surface area. That helps to regulate temperature.
I'm not sure if you were noticing that the leopard tracks were here again.
No, I wasn't, because I was chatting too much. But thanks for keeping track, Andrew. Let's have a look down here at the junction and see which way it went. But it was walking before the drizzle last night, so not very fresh leopard tracks. Nothing there. Only a few little patches of sand where we're likely to pick up the tracks, because the ground is quite hard. And in here somewhere. Go and have a look on the main road, Triple M. And then we'll have to go up towards Sandy Patch if there's nothing here. My guess is it's up towards Sandy Patch. Bumpiest, shortest stretch of road in the entire reserve. Most bumpiest. Just have a look if I can find tracks crossing over anywhere here. A lot of impala tracks on the road. I was just thinking how there haven't been any flies this morning, and now they must have read my thoughts, because they've descended on me in vengeance. This road's been recently graded after the rain. It's smoothed up nicely, but there are no tracks yet. It would be fairly easy to see old elephant tracks here crossing down to the west. So let's go back up to Sandy Patch Road, Sandy Patch South. Leopard was here too. are you doing, Doug, in Washington? Is this unusual rain for the dry season? Has it brought out any pesky insects other than flies? Well, the only pesky insect to me are these little flies that they just insist on tickling the face, and it's almost like they do it on purpose. But really what they're doing is they're getting to the moisture and the salty secretions that our skin does, and the oily, I guess. No tracks here, but maybe it would have cut through. Not unusual. This is technically still towards the end of the wet season. I mean, I've known it to rain throughout April. It is a wonderful relief to have a little bit of rain before the dry season really starts. I mean, unbelievable how green it is just in 2 days. Last night's rain wasn't that heavy. There was mostly just a little drizzle around 2 o'clock during the night, and so it's not really much different to what it was, what insects came out from a few nights ago. Mostly they were termites just after the rain. There might be some beetles that are emerging, but none of them pesky really. Only flies that can be a little bit bothersome sometimes. And I think there are a lot of flies, mostly because it has been very dry. It has been exceptionally dry for the wet season, and then normally with it, there's a leopard. There's the leopard we're looking for. Well done, Andrew. Wow. Just trying to hide from me. You can't hide from me. I don't even know if that's the one we were following, because that one looks quite shy and smaller, so quite big tracks. That looks like a little leopard. Ducked down into the grass to try and hide from us. So I'm thinking.
It even looks a bit nervous.
Yeah. I'm not too sure who this leopard could be yet. Definitely not quarantine. And I don't think it is Nkuhumas. Sitting up now.
Is this one of those ask the audience situations?
This is definitely an ask the audience. Phone friend. I am trying to get a facial shot. He's quite a big male. Well, one way to get the vehicles to leave the lion sighting is call this in. Which I'm going to have to do shortly. I think we've got an answer coming in already. Anne-Marie and both asking, Anne-Marie and Virginia, asking if this is Shadow's cub. No, this is not a cub, so we can rule out Shadow's cub. This looks like it's a male. I was seeing a little bit of a dewlap there. Quite a thickish neck. Now, for the time being, since we saw the cat and it crouched down in the grass, I stopped the car as soon as I could to show that I'm not going to be a threat, and I want the cat to relax a little bit more, and then maybe we can make our way around the guarri bush and maybe get a better look at it. But I think for now we're going to just sit. I'm not going to make too much noise. Let's see what the cat's going to be up to. I'll have to tell you my theory about dung beetles and flies in a little later stage, a little bit later on.
I mean, this could be Tingana, couldn't it?
Could be.
Because we're not that far from Arizona.
No, very close. But I think he's bigger than this too. I'm not seeing very tatty ears at all. And I'm sure we got a fairly good look at the face there. I've taken quite a couple of snaps zoomed in that I can also post later.
This doesn't look like a leopard that we see regularly.
Especially that behavior, being very, very shy like that. Right, I'm going to just call it in. George Ann from Illinois wants to know if this is Tingana. There again, looking at us. I don't know yet, George Ann. I think we'll just have to wait and see until we maybe get into a better position. Any station up near Sandy Patch? One Ingwe, Sandy Patch South, close to Impala Plains, halfway I suppose. Yeah, a lot of pines at the moment. Okay, will do, thanks. The radio's going to get quite busy now, no doubt. Did you hear what was said from final control?
No.
Okay, general consensus on Twitter, message from final control saying that it's Tingana. Ow. Okay, I think what we do, let's try and make our way around the quarries. Where our bit is. Not going to get through there. Likely this might be the best place for him. Oh yeah, this might be better. Going to be about the best for the time being. Is that okay there, Andrew?
That's good.
I'm thinking it might be. Looking at the size of his neck, he's a pretty muscular leopard, this. Beautiful cat, and a really lucky find. Well done.
That's how you find leopards, though, isn't it? Just a lot of the times.
A lot of the times, yes. Just very lucky to be in the right place at the right time. It's quite possible that had he not been walking, might have missed him. And if he was sitting down like this, could have driven right past him.
Easily.
But super lucky to have both big cats. It would be nice to have cheetah, but of course that's not going to happen, I don't think. Having said that, I have seen cheetah exactly here before, as we go out into this. Ja, last I seen, what bumper was that? Oh, is that why they're so full? Anything left of the bumper? Okay, and then Misi, they come out from south or from the northern side? So, just hearing that a hyena just came running out of the bush onto Gowrie Main with a buffalo leg in its mouth. So it sounds like those lions killed a buffalo, and perhaps having, well, all sorts of speculation here. Mark, yeah, go ahead. Now, Kobus, if you come down towards Impala Plains from Sandy Patch, come past that power line, it's closer to Impala Plains. Any station on Arathusa copy? Any station in the west, copy? Yeah, who's there? Hi Chris, you guys have any Mkonzo, any sighting of Tingana this morning? Okay, I've got an Ingwe just near Impala Plains, north of Impala Plains. I think it's Tingana. Yeah, we're still far in from Triple M though. Sorry, repeat. For now, I'm going to be here probably till close to end of drive. Okay, copy. Thanks, Chris. So, just thought I'd catch up with the guys on the other channel, on the Arathusa channel. That was one of the guides from, I think, Elephant Plains, or Simbambili, one of the other lodges, and saying that they did have his tracks coming north. Mark Jacobus, go ahead. Yeah, keep coming south, and then after you get those open areas, before you get to Impala Plains, you'll see me on the western side of the road. Yeah, affirmative. He is getting up now. He's starting to walk west, so you should still be able to see me. I'm going to have to try and follow him. Lots of buffalo thorn here. Copy that, thanks, Texi. I can see the power line now on Triple M. We're not far from Triple M. All stations, if anyone can hear me, I've got Tingana slowly making his way west on towards Triple M near Impala Plains. We're getting quite close to Triple M now, from Gary side. I'm going back to Gary channel. You see me, Clovis? Seems to be going back home, this cat. I think we're now coming out of Triple M. Got to keep track on both channels. And we're now heading west on Triple M. Oh, he's watching something. I can see he's got that tail twist going, and he's getting into stalk mode. Good. There's Impala, he's going for that Impala. There's some Impala in the road. some bats to the boys, and he seems to have taken a little bit of a detour. I can't follow him, but he might go for those impala. Can't see him anymore. There he goes. Going quite deep in. I don't think he's making much of a play for them at all. Can you see him, Andrew?
Oh yeah, that's him.
Yes. Get his spots disappearing. Tingana.
He looked like he was going to go around, but
Yeah, it looked like he was going into full stalk mode. But I think all he wanted to do was avoid them seeing him, so he avoided the alarm calls.
he wouldn't go do a massive loop around, would he?
He could. He could. Ingo is now across triple M, no visual. Oh, Texan is just 2 minutes too late. You can hear the squirrels going crazy, and now that we know that there's a leopard and we hear the squirrels, it gives you an idea of what we listen for sometimes, because that is clearly squirrels calling a leopard or shouting at a leopard. Conigal. Yeah. There was some mala up ahead that looks like he might have been coming around, but I've just lost sight of him now. Pardon? Yeah. So we had a very, very lucky morning there. And I must find the branch. Tingana. See, this is where animals can cross boundaries, but we can't.
Do you think he just came this side to remark his boundary of the ring?
Probably. Or maybe he's trying to find the scent of a female, maybe, in estrus. Could be anything really. But yes, could be just patrolling his territory for a change. His northern and eastern limits of his territory. I'm going to take a wattle branch. And like there's a branch that's already dying, broken. I'm going to take a branch and leave a branch in the road, more or less where we live, the road. And I just want to have a look at my map, because I don't know this area, but I think I have it on the map. It's almost one-eyed pan area. There's a lovely big marula tree up there where he is headed. Did I bring my device? I think I did. Might have. Excuse me a sec. I'm just going to, because it Elizabeth in Milwaukee. Elaborate on the behavior before they go into stalk mode. I think it was one-eyed pan, perhaps. No, not really. We could probably catch up with him on parallel road north. Let's try that. I thought this might have been some Mbili, but it's not. It's actually Aracusa, so we could have... silly of me, and I'm afraid I thought we were much further north. We should have followed, could have followed him. Maybe. I must just check this next boundary road. What signs there are going into stalk mode? Well, the ears go flat backwards, and the leopard crouches, and well, the tail sometimes twitches like that because the leopard gets excited. A very typical, very particular twitch to the tail. See a whole change in body language of a cat when it suddenly sees something and goes into stalk mode. Maybe he's going to come out onto this road. If we're lucky, he might even be coming down this road. The impala also came through towards this road. Okay, Andrew, do your thing again. Alrighty. There was that, could be that big, no, this close. It's a little bit further north, I think. There was that one big marula that he was aiming for, that I was trying to mark. Could be that one there. But I think we covered quite a bit of distance.
He was moving at a pace. Side of the drainage line.
listen for sounds like squirrels and things. There's a brown snake eagle. We can't stop for it right now. More or less level with where he might have been coming out or coming through. Mark your guy. I lost him when he crossed over. I'm now on parallel north trying to see if I can pick him up again. Just a little bit north of Impala Plains. I left a wattle branch in the road where he crossed over. There was a small bachelor group of marla that he was looking at. Impala.
Yeah, they look very relaxed.
Yeah. Well, one of those young Impala. See, he could still be stalking. Mark Chestel on Aerotusa. I'm trying to follow up on Tingana that just crossed Triple M. I'm on parallel north. I've seen some of the marla he was looking at earlier, but I can't find him. I'm looking for him again. Thank you. Any update for the rest of Safari and Dow? Copy, thanks. That sounds good. Apologies folks, I'm just on Aerotusa now, so I've got a lot of radio work to do just for the time being. Okay. What we'll do is we're going to try a little bit further up, then we turn around, we come back. Quite often, if you just sort of do a little bit of patrolling up and down, you might get lucky. Oh gosh, we're running out of time too. I didn't realize that. Must be since we're having so much fun. So suddenly it gets exciting and a little bit of time goes by so quickly. But I think we're very lucky. We had a wonderful sighting of him. It was great to be able to see Tingana, and I have left a message with the Aerotusa guys that he was here, and we can always try and find him or follow up on his tracks this afternoon. I'm sure those guys will too. We need to find our way back onto Gowrie. So my name is Mark, by the way. You've been with me and Andrew on camera this morning. Thank you for joining us. And Tara has been back in final control, sending us the questions. We do hope we'll see you again this afternoon, 3 o'clock Central African time. From all of us, love you lots. Bye-bye.